bye-bye up to New York and New Jersey to see the Smithereens and to do some good work with the DKMS group that saved my wife's life. And big doings this weekend as the donor saved my wife's life twice on the Bone Marrow Registry comes to town. We're throwing a party on November the 12th. That is next Saturday night down at Roost Chris Pier 5. We'd love to see your face in the place. And meantime, until he gets here this weekend and we have Ravens and Steelers, we got World Series and certainly some college football. I watched a lot of college football on Saturday up in New Jersey before the World Series game. I caught a large stretch of the Washington-Utah game. This guy covers all things college football, including the Terps and the Queen City Foundation that he has out in Western Maryland. He is one of our defending champs. We welcome Todd Helmick from nationalchamps.net back onto the program, and almost got a throw from his Seminoles over the weekend with Clemson, but it wasn't meant to be. Much like Maryland going to Indiana and becoming bowl eligible, Todd, it was not meant to be.
Well, the odds makers said it wasn't meant to be, if you want to refer to it that way, but Maryland's got to beat Rutgers, get bowl eligible. I don't believe they're going to beat the Michigan or Ohio State.
Or Nebraska.
Or Nebraska, yeah. I don't see that happening. So it all boils down to that Rutgers game. And being bowl eligible is a big deal. I mean, it's the gauge of success to some degree, especially for a first-year coach. So that's going to be very important. It would be nice, wouldn't it be nice to see Maryland not get spanked these next 3 weeks?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, right? I mean, I had some people from Michigan State on 2 weeks ago talking about Michigan State getting a run up on them. And, of course, after Michigan laid 78 on Rutgers, we saw Jim Harbaugh's distracted by the World Series. I saw that on Sunday. He was with Jack, who's an Indians fan. He's a Cubs fan. And they I don't want to say they barely got by Michigan State, but it was a much more competitive football game than maybe we thought it was going to be.
Well, that's why you play the game. That's a big rivalry, and sometimes, emotions are such a big part of football. And honest to goodness, I couldn't name you another sport where emotion and pure aggression and wanting to kill somebody kind of mentality can be parlayed into another sport. I mean, a basketball player can't go to the free throw line looking to punish somebody, all jacked up. Other sports require a lot more focus with the mind, whereas football, while it does require focus, can be pure emotion.
And instinct to some degree, right?
You see teams come out of the locker room, you're like, ooh, I should have bet on that team. But that's the case in the Michigan State versus Michigan type of scenario. And you'll see it when Miami, Florida, and Florida State play, when Auburn, Alabama play, when South Carolina and Clemson play. You're going to get the best shot.
Well, in Florida and Georgia last weekend, you saw it in the cocktail party, right?
Actually, Georgia's not doing so great these days with their new coach. No, after getting beat by Vanderbilt, their season's in disarray. And honestly, of course, ESPN headlines today, good old Rocky flop, Tennessee. There they are projected to win the SEC East finally. They beat Florida finally to get over that hill, and now they've lost their last two straight, and they're buried in the SEC East already.
Well, at least it was an exciting season there for a little while at old Rocky Top for sure. Louisville almost took a tumble. I mean, it was an interesting ACC weekend. That went right down to the wire. They looked like they were going to lose that football game.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. That Virginia should have won that game against Louisville, and it just goes to show, and I would say the same thing with Tom Herman out in Houston for the Houston Cougars. You go from being the hunter to the hunted as another whole animal, so to speak. I mean, when you're the underdog like Louisville and you're getting Florida State in your backyard or this team or that team or, Houston's playing Oklahoma and they're whipping on them. But then all of a sudden you're going to Virginia in games you're supposed to win, and oh my goodness, now the other team's jacked up. This is their game of the year. It's a whole new mindset. Again, emotion, just like Michigan State, it's just a different mindset. And Louisville and Houston's finding that out big time.
I think we're going to learn a lot about the Terps these next couple of weeks from that mindset of there are 30 8-point underdog to Michigan this week. They will be something similar to that to Ohio State, especially if they don't cover. And to your point, wouldn't it be nice to see them not get whipped? I saw their defense get whipped by 3 different running backs from Indiana. When you start to think about Indiana running backs running you over and them going to the big house, and I'd say this, there's a lot of kids still on this team that were there 2 years ago when they went there and won, but this is certainly a different flavor of Wolverine we're going to see on Saturday.
So I'd say it's a huge different flavor of Wolverine since the last time Maryland was in the big house. And honestly, I mean, what's satisfying as a Maryland guy? Is it into the fourth quarter down by 14 points or less, or 21 points or less? I mean, if it's 21 points, you know you don't have a chance to win, but you look respectable on the scoreboard. I think respect on the scoreboard is all you can ask for when it's a 30-point spread. You know, if you can keep that, dare I think that the Terps could extend the game and use up the clock and time of possession and somehow get into the fourth quarter down a score or two. I may be asking too much. I think the best thing you can ask for is keeping this 3 scores or less.
Yeah,
and if that happens, you're satisfied.
We talk so much about the SEC beating each other up and, the quality of competition. The Big Ten's got a little of that going on, right? I mean, Wisconsin comes out great guns earlier in the year. They take on a loss, then, they fall. Then they wind up winning against Nebraska at home over the weekend. The undefeated thing is that's the magic trick, right? Staying undefeated is Michigan and Ohio State. One of them's going to lose in a couple of weeks. But that's part of this tightrope act right now.
The crazy part about college football, when you have so many teams and they can't all play each other, unlike the NFL, where I know you can't play everybody, but at least you win your division you're in. The playoffs here don't work the same, and it's based upon just winning games. It doesn't matter who you beat sometimes. And I said that about West Virginia and Baylor last week. I said it about Nebraska last week, which ironically all 3 of them met somebody actually ranked and get beat. Except for Baylor, they get beat by Texas, who was unranked. Point being, you win and you're in. And it doesn't matter. Even Western Michigan now is getting a lot of talk. Could they be the team now that the non-BCS aligned or in the Power 6 conference that makes the playoffs? I mean, seriously? A
lot of good football teams lost last weekend, to your point. I mean, teams that we would look at and say, West Virginia's a good football team. Utah, good football team. Nebraska, good football. They all lost, right? Tennessee, good football. They lost.
I did want to touch upon that during our conversation here, is that last week there wasn't a lot of upsets in regards to top 5 playoff contenders. I know Clemson got a scare. Washington got a scare.
Louisville got a scare, yeah.
Louisville got a scare, but there were teams out there sitting around number 8, 9, 10 that really took their bounce out of the playoffs. West Virginia, they get beat at Oklahoma State. Baylor gets beat versus Texas. And Utah already had a loss, and the other team was actually Boise State, who was undefeated. How many times have we heard Boise State in that talk? Are they playoff worthy? They get beat at Wyoming. So there's 3 teams that were undefeated still chirping about the playoffs. I think they have no shot at that at this point because their schedules just are not tough enough to allow them to get back into the playoff discussion with 1 loss.
You talk about the teams in the championship picture, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about Michigan and Ohio State and where they go, and Ohio State trying to tag a loss on Michigan to equalize that. Clemson had their scare. Alabama will continue to have tough games, but for Washington, the Utah game was probably the toughest game they're going to have to play, right? And I watched most of that game. They went out there. The Utah crowd was electric. It was a game of swings back and forth. But Washington, for them to be in the conversation, I would have liked to have seen a more impressive victory, quite frankly, out of them. But they did win, which is more than you could say for 6 or 7 of these other ranked teams last week.
Yeah, it sucks that I'll use that word on the air. Sucks.
You can use it. Yeah, it's a good word.
It sucks that the poll situation, which by the way, the poll comes out, coming out now. The college football playoff rankings. What sucks about it is that there's everybody doesn't play at one another, and what I don't like is what you just said is like it wasn't impressive enough for me. Now a lot of people can't watch games, so they just see the score afterwards. Oh, they only won by 3 points. That's not good. They need to win by 20 to 30 against this team to move up.
Well, then Michigan wins 78-0, and then, Harbaugh gets ripped for running it up, right?
Correct. And that's a very good point. Coaches have to do that now to put their style points, is what they used to like to call it. Because everybody can't play each other. But along with what you said about Washington squeaking by, Utah's a good football team. Game day was there in Utah. But I would say the Pac-12 and the Big 12 right now are the two weakest of the Power Six. I don't think they're void of big heavy hitters. They're void of top 25 teams, and some of the teams at the bottom, like your Kansas, Iowa States, and even Arizona's now sitting at 2-6. They've got some bad teams in the conference. So you got some bad bottom dwellers, and they don't have any top 25 powers. Not enough of them.
Plenty of football out there. If you want a great TV listing, go to nationalchamps.net. That's what Todd Helmick does. He's one of our defending champions. Been here 20 years talking college football with us. We talk about Alabama and where they could stub their toe. Going down in the swamp at LSU with the lights on in Baton Rouge on a Saturday night.
Swamp?
What's that?
You called it the swamp.
It's a swamp. It's a bayou. It's one giant swamp, all of it. Saturday night, they're going to have an opportunity to once again play the role of spoiler down there with the Bayou Bengals, right?
Yeah, it's one of those games where, look, I said the Clemson-Florida State game this week, Clemson be leery. I know Florida State's not been playing well all year, but that's their national championship game for Florida State, because they've got no shot at the conference. They've got no shot at the playoffs. Well, LSU's got no shot at the playoffs. They're out. This is to beat the number one team in the country coming in here with the new coach. This is their season. This is their championship game in Baton Rouge. I got a feeling this game is going to go down to the wire, and I know I have said that about Alabama games here over the last 5 weeks, maybe once in a blue moon, and it never comes to fruition. But that game could be very interesting, especially with Leonard Fournette healthy now and rolling people over. I don't think there's any question Fournette has to have a big game to stay in it with Alabama.
Nebraska and Ohio State getting together simultaneously, as well as another really good game in the afternoon, Florida and Arkansas. That's a good one.
It is. Florida sitting at number 9 in this AP poll that's out. Even they're getting past that Tennessee loss now, that Tennessee's lost us a large amount of games. But now I don't have Florida's schedule in front of me, but off the top of my head, I believe they get Arkansas, LSU, South Carolina, Florida State, and one other. It's brutal here on out for Florida. Welcome to the SEC schedule now, Florida. Here it comes.
Well, welcome to the Big Ten for Maryland, facing Michigan this week as a 30-point dog, then Ohio State, and then Nebraska. Sometime they're going to tell me what time this Nebraska game is going to start so I can figure out whether I'm actually going or not, Todd. But that's my axe to grind with the NCAA and TV, and I don't need to go into that more. NationalChamps.net's the way to find Todd. He's out there doing college football all week long. Is Maryland going to cover 30 or not? What do you think, Todd?
Boy, you gotta. As a gambler, I'd never bet on those high spreads, because at some point you got to bank on Michigan subs, either covering it or holding it down.
I don't know how anybody bets on football, quite frankly, and takes it seriously and thinks that they're going to win. But, yeah, there's a hell of an enticement here. 30 points is a nice enticement.
Come on, man. You and I both know guys that are betting on NBA in October. It is what it is.
I've seen people bet on preseason football, dude. It's a sickness. It's an illness. What can I say?
Yes.
Todd, we'll check you out, man. Appreciate the time, as always, coming on with us. We'll be at nationalchamps.net, seeing your TV listings and watching all the word as the season plays out.
Thanks, Nestor. Thanks for having me on, as always.
Happy Halloween week. Get your eggnog, get your pumpkin spice, and all things holiday shopping together. I got turkey coming. I got mincemeat pie. My favorite pecan pie coming before the month's over. It's going to be big doings. We got some chocolate mousse on November the 12th. My wife's donor's coming to town on Saturday. He'll be here for 10 days. We're throwing a birthday party for him on November the 12th. So if you followed our story of my wife's illness and her sort of miraculous, not sort of, really miraculous, really, really miraculous recovery, this is the guy that saved her life twice on the bone marrow registry. He's going to be in town for the next 10 days, and we'll see you on the 12th of November down at Ruth's Chris Pier 5. There are no tickets. There are bar, no obligations. Come on down, say hello, have a few drinks, get a steak, get a sandwich. Happy hour menu's going to be there for all you cheapskates out there. But either way, we'd love to have you down. It's going to be a big, big night for us on November the 12th. So throw me an email if you're interested in that, nasty@WNST.net. We've been talking about it on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and of course, we stream live on Facebook Live as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. Big week, man. We got the Steelers and the Ravens. We got the World Series going on. At some point, the Orioles are going to hire a pitching coach when the World Series is over. We're going to get into the hot stove. We got Maryland playing Michigan this week. The whole Harbaugh-Durkin thing going on there as well. 30-point underdog. Whew. Tough weekend at the Big House up in Ann Arbor. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device. Just download the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from wherever you are. Morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning. That is powered up by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life there. You can get some inspiration as well at Planet of Triumphs. Really cool website with some great stories of miraculous things and people getting in shape. Probably not from eating the eggnog or drinking the pumpkin spice lattes that I find so delectable this time of year. You know, I've been driving back and forth to New York every week, and I'm seeing the leaves change. I'm feeling seasonal, autumnal. And, you know, I don't really like wearing sweaters so much. I mean, I prefer summer weather myself, but it is nice to see the leaves change. Last but never least, if there's any breaking news that happens first on the WNST Tech Service, that is brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard, and Dennis Colossus will be here from 3 until 5 on Thursday, driving you home, getting you ready for the weekend, getting you ready for the Steelers and the Ravens, and I will join him on Thursday as well. I'm Nestor. This is WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.